Hello, hello, hello. If you landed here, you've landed on Let's Talk News. I'm your host, Leticia Remauro, and today is Thursday, April 2nd already. Where is the year going? And of course, we have lots to talk about, lots of changes. Trump is shaking things up, and that's a good thing, not a bad thing. I'm sure you all heard, right, that Pam Bondi decided to leave as AG, and similar to Kristi Noem. And of course, everybody is talking about it as if it is tragic. The Democrats are all applauding, by the way. The Democrats who claim to want to see women in high, powerful positions, and also claim that Trump does not have a high regard for women. They're all saying, good riddance to both of those women. And they have no problem whatsoever beating them up in public. But they're also making it as if they were terminated for cause, which is not so. And of course, the conversation about who might replace Bondi now, we have problems with that. The same way as we had problems with Mark Wayne Mullins replacing Kristi Noem. But I would like to offer this. Kristi Noem's husband has a problem, and we all know he has a problem. We've heard it, right? We've heard that it is a scandal, I guess, of some sort, sexual scandal. And it came out right after Kristi left. So anybody ever think that maybe that's why she left? To protect the president and to not make it a situation. Now, don't get me wrong. I said after Renee Good was shot that she should have left. She should have left on her own accord, because that would have squashed everything and taken down the heat. And that would have been the right thing to do as an employee of the president. But she didn't do that. But I do think that this scandal was brewing and she knew of it. She knew it was going to come out, and that helped her to leave. I don't have any inside information about that, but I've been around government long enough. As far as Pam Bondi is concerned, I do believe she's going to be running for office, and I'm going to put some money on it that she's going to be running for Congress in Florida. No inside information, just been around long enough to know. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. I think they were both great at their jobs. I think that you get burnout in Washington. It is not easy. Not easy for Noem coming in as a governor who ran a state, who was very successful, and then come in, and even though she's secretary, to be a cog in the machine, because we know that Washington, D.C. is just disgusting and terrible, and I wouldn't be called dead there. So burnout, is part of it. I do believe that Bondi didn't handle things entirely great, because she was a great prosecutor in Florida, but she didn't have the pressure that she had being Attorney General. And she may have had some things, she may have incorrectly spoken or trusted people she shouldn't have trusted. I don't like her commentary on the Epstein files, and I don't like the way they were released. I think that she made an issue where none existed. So that's my 2 cents. I want to take a minute and say hello to everybody. Oh, wait a minute. Why aren't the comments going on the screen? Hold on a sec. Oh, all this time I've been talking and no comments were coming up. Kevin Wall from the other side of the world, same side of the issues. Francine's with us. Angela, Kevin Young, my mom, Andrew Dorman, ROG. Lucille Chavone, I'm trying to, hi Norm, wow, sad story. I'm trying to figure out what the sad story is. Aloha from Robert Santillion. Maisie is with us. She's happy Bondi's gone. Oh, no. Okay, got it. I love Maisie loves Kristi. Hi, Kyle. Peter, our professor, is with us tonight. Andrew's there's a lot of well wishes going on. Gary is with us tonight, and Gloria Scudera Johnson is with us tonight. Thank you all for joining us. So, so that's not the only things that are shaking or being shooken up in Trump world and in America. But the way the news is talking about it, you would think it's the only thing. And I blame Fox News too, because Fox, sometimes they get stuck on stuff and they get stuck on stupid stuff. And that really pisses me off. Hi, Jeff. Good to have you. Yeah, so there's other stuff happening. But before I show you video clips, I want to show you a letter, an email that I got. Somebody pulled my name off the wrong list. Look at this email. Colorado draws the line, and it is addressed to me. The email that I use when I buy stuff and when I donate to political campaigns, not to Democrats, to Republicans. So somehow they got things crossed. Leticia, the MAGAs are coming. The MAGAs are coming, and they've got millions of dollars coming to stop, quote, our plan to redistrict Colorado and maximize gains for Democrats. And it goes on and on to talk about how they don't know where this money came from, and it's dark money, and they're going to stop the redistricting in Colorado that was designed to give Democrats the advantage. They talk about how Republicans are fighting back in Virginia and California. So they don't know where this money is coming from or why anybody would want to fight. Really? Very, very interesting. But we know that for centuries, gerrymandering has been going on both sides of the aisle. But we do know that the Democrats have abused it terrifically. And the first time that Texas tries to catch up, we have to hear about it. So that's a problem, is that we're goody two-shoes. So I sent this publicly to Thune, and I reminded him that if he doesn't pass the SAVE Act by any means possible, whether that means, the filibuster or whatever, that if he doesn't change the rules to pass it, then they are going to do everything in their power, break every rule, change every rule, and never be criticized for it. And they're going to allow illegals to vote in our elections. So I don't know. Colleen says, I saw a judge says Trump can't deport without hearings. Can deport without hearings. I don't know. I didn't see that. Probably. I know that you can, but I don't know where that lawsuit came from. So there were judges that were saying we can't deport unless there's hearings. So this whole lawsuit stuff is just I'm through the roof on it, because we're wasting an awful lot of money on this crap. Okay, I want to some of the things you might not have seen, because we're talking about Bondi and stuff. Watch this.
The Iranian government threatened a bunch of U.S. companies today in the region, including Google, Apple.
With what? What did they threaten them with? BB guns? Or
well, that's
they don't have much left to threaten.
My question for you is, are you...
I don't know. I mean, what are they... You made a statement. What did they threaten them with? I don't know. Tell me, how did they threaten them?
Well, all I know is that they threatened them, sir.
What does that mean?
Fair enough.
You said something nasty?
Is the government in touch with these companies? Are you helping to backstop them?
You don't even know what the threat was. What was the threat? I haven't heard it. What was the threat? Did they say they're going to blow them up? They're going to hit them? They're not. You know what they're not going to do? They're not going to hit them with a nuclear weapon.
He reminds me so much of every boss I ever had in politics. We were taught never to ask a question unless you knew the answer, unless you could figure out every possible answer. And clearly the Democrats have trained Trump well, because in Trump 1, he might have been a little bit more gullible to the way Washington works. Now in Trump 2, he is absolutely spot on everything. And I just love how glib he is. And I love how funny he is. And I love that he wears power comfortably. Not everybody does, but he does. I was looking at pictures of him on the campaign trail, and he looked exhausted. But now you look at him. Last night he looked exhausted. And I know he's exhausted because, Iran is hours ahead. So he stays up and he watches everything that we're doing in Iran. But on a regular, he looks better now than he did on the campaign trail. And that's with everybody always after him for everything. It's it's crazy. Yeah, BB guns, right, Angela? That's it. I thought that was funny as hell. All right, so listen, did you know that this was happening? Did you see Marco Rubio say this? I mean, oh, wait, it's Ramon. Hello, Ramon. Good to have you. I'm great, thank you. So I just want to know.
The United States has spent billions of dollars over the years in helping with health strategies all across the world. What we learned over time, and especially after coming here, is that oftentimes, and I'm oversimplifying it, but this is an accurate description, what would happen is we would go to a country and say, we're going to help you with our health care needs. Then we would drive over to Northern Virginia somewhere, find an NGO, one of these organizations, give them all the money, tell them go to this country and do their health care program for them. That NGO would then take about some percentage of that money for their overhead and administrative costs. And by the time it got down to it, the host country had very little influence. It was sort of imposed on them. And only a percentage of the overall money ever actually reached the patients and the people on the ground that we were trying to help because of these costs. This makes no sense. So why are we hiring American and international NGOs to go into other countries and run healthcare systems that are parallel and sometimes in conflict with the healthcare systems of the host country? If we're trying to help countries, help the country. Don't help the NGO to go in and find a new line of business. And so that's what the model that we're breaking. We're not doing this anymore. We are not going to spend billions of dollars funding the NGO industrial complex while close and important partners like Kenya are either have no role to play or have very little influence over how healthcare money is being spent. Bottom line is, if you want to help a country, work with that country.
See, that's where the fraud was. That's what was happening in fraud. We were actually creating the fraud. And oh, by the way, a lot of these Congress members who left office had opened nonprofits. And guess what? The money was getting filtered through their nonprofits, and they were making a bunch of money that way. There were a bunch of assembly members in New York who used to do that, Democrat assembly members. While they were in office, they'd vote on a budget item, and the money would go to an NGO that they were the executive director of and drawing a salary for. And we were setting it up in our country. This is where the fraud goes. So did everybody hear that? Did anybody know that? Did you see it on Fox? Did I miss it somehow? I don't think so. I think that, nobody's reporting on it. Why? Why isn't Fox reporting on this? Why isn't Newsmax reporting on this? Why aren't we talking about this? The fact that they're actually cutting out NGOs and they're going to bankrupt the Democrat Party by doing it. Because where does the Democrat Party get most of its money? Unions, Hollywood, and NGOs. Even though they're not supposed to, but they do. The people who are involved make personal donations, even if the organization itself can't do it. Let's see, it's been going on for decades. Eliminate the middleman. Yes, Colleen, you're right. A lot of these nonprofits should be under investigation. All of them should, I think. I think nonprofits need to stop. And I think that the government shouldn't be able to do business with nonprofits anymore. Never saw or heard it. Okay, so Maisie hasn't seen or heard it. So, things that nobody talks about, right? They may embarrass a large number of people with this. I think that they're going to. I think that they're going to. And I think that it's one of the reasons that Pam decided to do a different job and move on, because I think the stress was getting to her, because, that's justice it's terrible. It's very difficult, very, very difficult. And unless you are a half a snake, really to work in Washington is hard. And you could just tell, she's a smart woman and she expects things to be done on the up and up. She's a good Christian conservative woman. And I think that Washington, D.C. was just a little bit too smutty for her. I know it was too smutty for me. I was asked to go twice, and twice I refused, because I know I could not. I would have to say something and I would wind up dead in the park like Hillary's people. Millions in salaries at the notprofits I worked at, and multiple other expenses before it gets to ultimate recipients. Yeah, it's just true. Was Trump telling Congress not to fund Medicare? No, Trump was not telling Congress not to fund Medicare. The one thing that they try to pin on him is that, and he would never do that. He's not, he's smart enough to understand the midterms. Obamacare, he wants Obamacare gone. Colleen says, even without corruption, it's additional layers of expenses. Exactly. There are, it's an industrial complex, like the homeless. We talked about these homeless. It's an economy. Green is an economy, and they do this to create, because they can't create jobs themselves. They create these kinds of jobs. It's just another government job, right? Instead of creating economy, the Democrats, no, they create more government jobs, even though they're nonprofits, even though they are like healthcare, because of Obamacare. They just expand the government in different ways. And they did it, even like with remember, foster care used to be, not foster care, but adoption and all that. Those used to be religious institutions that used to foster children and adopt out children. Now the government does it. I'm trying to think of all the things that the government has now taken over that used to be private sector. A lot. So government has expanded and private sector has contracted. That is no way to run a country, unless you want to bury it, which a lot of people do. Kevin says Musk would have unearthed this before leaving for the government to clean up. Yeah, I mean, he's still working behind the scenes on this. But just like Bondi and Noem, at a certain point, if you become the target, now who are they going to talk about, right? Noem is gone. They're going to make the same claims on Markwayne Mullins that they did on Noem. Bondi's gone. Every time he removes a target, Elon, right? They pretended that there was a big falling out. It wasn't. Look at, they're together all the time. Still, again, maybe they had a spat. Who knows? But they're back together. Elon was a target, so he had to go. But he's still there. That's the difference between, the Democrats don't get rid of anybody. They couldn't get rid of anybody the last term because the president wasn't really the president. It was the cabal that was the president. That's why everybody stayed. Mayorkas and all of them, they were part of the cabal. And God forbid any one of them talked. Notice how Trump's not worried about anybody giving up anything on him. Do you notice that the people that have left the Trump administration, except for that asshole that they iced out, what was it? I forget his name, last week, a couple of weeks ago. Except for him. He's the only one that started trashing the administration. The one that said that Iran, there was no reason to bomb Iran after saying there was every reason to. Yeah, him. That's the only one. And nobody got rid of him. He walked out on his own because he knew he was going. Let's see. I just watched last year, council give $2 million to a nonprofit that still hasn't done anything. That's Santillion. We never heard about the $1 billion de Blasio's wife stole, right? That another nonprofit situation. Pardo. I talked with many Canadians about healthcare. One fell on ice, broke a bone, was on serious pain meds for 2 years. It took that long to see a specialist. Absolutely. Gary says Kent. I'm not sure what that's a part of. Okay. I want you to listen to the head of NATO. This is fun. I know we talked about NATO yesterday, but another one. Has anybody seen this?
Trump is doing good stuff. I will praise him. And I don't mind him publishing text messages. And if anyone thinks here, again, that the European Union or Europe as a whole can defend itself without the US, keep on dreaming. You can't. We can't. We need each other. But for Europe, if you really want to go it alone, and those of you who are planning for that, forget that you can ever get there with 5%. It will be 10%. You have to build up your own nuclear capability. That costs billions and billions of euros. You will lose then, in that scenario, you would lose the ultimate guarantor of our freedom, which is the US nuclear umbrella. Good luck.
I love him. I mean, it's true. It's true. And as we discussed last night, we don't need NATO anymore. We don't need NATO. NATO needs us. And fuck Spain and fuck France and fuck the UK, honestly. If that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do. Oh, speaking of the UK and the No Kings marches that went on last weekend, I just wanted to show you this.
You basically want Trump's go. Like, you don't want him as the leader.
I don't want him here.
Name one person who is the best fit to lead this nation then.
Kamala Harris.
But she lost in 2024.
I know. I'm not from here.
You know, she's not even from here. Where are you from?
England.
So, a British lady doesn't want a king here. That's why we ran away from you guys. And that's why we kicked you out in 1776.
I know.
And you keep coming here.
I came back. I bounced back. I swam back over.
But do you love America?
Sometimes.
So, it's complicated.
So it cost $3 billion to put those No King rallies protest on. And we know that the Chinese Communist Party and communists in general were part of the extravaganza. And now we learn that they imported people from countries that have a king to the rally to talk about no kings. You can't make this stuff up. This is beyond. You're going to have people come in, the Labor Party flying people in like they did. Oh, by the way, for Kamala Harris, I guarantee you, if you trace that woman, and I didn't have time or interest in tracing that woman, I bet you she works for Starmer. Only wimps would protest it to stop Iranian regime. It's, you know, they're all... This whole No Kings thing, this is just to divide the country. If people see a whole bunch of people out protesting, they think, oh, I'm afraid to support Trump because then I'll be ostracized, especially people in blue cities or in blue states. But it gets better. It gets better. It gets better. This was a fun little spoof. Watch.
Isn't it a little bit homophobic that we're so focused on the Straits of Hormuz and not the gays of Hormuz?
Yes, I agree. Yes, for sure.
Why do you think they're willing to leave the gays of Hormuz behind?
I think it's just historically, like, you know, gays have always been very discriminated against, which is wrong on so many levels.
Even in war.
Yeah, even in war. It just takes more reform in government, obviously, and then also educating society.
I just feel like if we're going to go in there, we can't leave the gay people behind.
Right,
I don't think we should go in there at all, but if we're going to, the gays of Hormuz, we could turn it into Fire Island.
For sure.
What the fuck? She's agreeing with it. So what is it? Is it the microphone, the camera, or are these people that stupid? Why are we calling it the Strait of Hormuz? Why are we not calling it the Gay of Hormuz? That was the worst Danish accent I ever heard. And she just chomped on that like her professors taught her to do. No kings, my friends, no kings. Santillian says Poland and Eastern European countries have started a big purchase of military weapons from us. They have. They know that he is not playing games, and that's what I love about him. The ones that are in the know, you can tell who they are. But these, you're right, Kevin. These are Kevin Young. Not only are they stupid people, they're useful idiots for the other side. That's what they're doing. What are these people learning in school? Asked Gloria. Well, they're learning that kind of stuff. And actually, I was just watching a video of an Oregon father, which we'll talk about probably Sunday, whose daughter was taught some graphic stuff in sex ed, and he is now on a one-man mission to get rid of all of the school board in Oregon. I forget the name. I think it was Chester School District. I'm not sure. Ramon says the No Kings protesters are busy with the imaginary king. I decided to go to Burger King. Yeah. Jeff says there's a bridge near me. They post No Kings. I give them the finger when I drive under it when they're there. You know, it's funny that they don't even know that they're being used, these people. They really don't. And this is an interesting voter here. You can't say it. Hold on a second. Hold on. Let me see if I could just do this. Do you see what she's doing? She's filling up her tire with water. Yep. She doesn't understand why her tire is not inflating. She's filling it up with water. And yes, she has a right to vote, just like you and me. We got a problem. And our problem is not germane to us, by the way. You ask Gloria, what are they learning in school? I'm going to show you, and it's going to blow your mind. Watch.
Go 5 hours. My name is Dr. Jared Cooney Horvath. I'm a former teacher turned cognitive neuroscientist who focuses on human learning. And I do not receive funding, nor have I ever, from big tech. So a sad fact our generation has to face is this. Our kids are less cognitively capable than we were at their age. Every generation has outperformed their parents, and that's exactly what we want. We want sharper kids. And the reason for this largely has been school. Each generation spends more time in school. We use school to develop our cognition until Gen Z. Gen Z is the first generation in modern history to underperform us on basically every cognitive measure we have, from basic attention to memory to literacy to numeracy to executive functioning to even general IQ, even though they go to more school than we did. So why? What happened? What happened around 2010 that decoupled schooling from cognitive development? It can't be school. Schools basically look the same. It can't be biology. This hasn't had enough time to change. The answer appears to be the tools we are using within schools to drive that learning. Across 80 countries, as Jean was just saying, if you look at the data, once countries adopt digital technology widely in schools, performance goes down significantly, to the point where kids who use computers about 5 hours per day in school for learning purposes will score over 2/3 of a standard deviation less than kids who rarely or never touch tech at school. And that's across 80 countries. Bring it home to the US. Let's go to the US. We have our NAEP. That's our big data. Take any state, and here's a fun experiment you can try. Take any state NAEP data, compare that to when that state adopted one-to-one technology widely, and watch what happens. The NAEP data will plateau and then start to drop.
So that was a hearing of the Senate. It was on C-SPAN. It was the other day. Again, we're not hearing much about it. You know who knew about this? China. China knew it before they started sending over the shit that we're all addicted to, Candy Crush and Word with Friends and all that stuff. Oh, this is good for your brain. No, it's not good for your brain. This is what, if you're not going to be an alcoholic or a drug addict or a television junkie or be antisocial, we're going to give you something else to fuck with your brain. And we're going to fuck with your kids' brain, but we're not going to let our kids be on screens for more than an hour a day. And that's a fact. In China, the ones who created all these games with the lights and the dings and the dangs and all that other stuff, they don't let their kids on screens. So go over to C-SPAN instead of playing on Facebook and watch that clip in its entirety. It'd be worth it. He had a lot to say, a lot. I cut it up possibly poorly, but I thought it was important for us to see that girl putting water in her tire. Yeah, Gen Z. Robert says many dumbasses everywhere. I saw something. Liam Out Loud. Remember the other day I had a clip from him. Go to his, I think it's IG. He had something about a philosopher who was saying that only 40% of humans, societal humans, actually are normal. That 60% are not. And the 40% hold the 60% in check. The rest of them are very narcissistic. And if they could, they wouldn't participate with other people. So in other words, they'd be antisocial, which is an interesting observation, because if more than half are away, then doesn't that make that normal? Just the things that make my brain tick. They don't know that Hawaii is a state in America. That's right. I think you sent it to me. Somebody sent it to me that they thought Hawaii was a country. Filling up tires with water is concerning. Yeah. It's not a new method. Your mind gets lazy when tech does the work for you. Calculators weren't allowed until calculus in high school. We used to remember everyone's phone number. Now they're stored in our phones. It's the truth. Absolute truth. My husband still remembers his phone number, his first phone number. The parents need to control the children. What a novel concept, Lucille. Could you imagine if parents actually controlled children instead of trying to be their best friends? That would be amazing. How about get rid of TikTok? Not just TikTok. It's all the social media. I've got to tell you, it's the screens. It is the screens. I have put my phone down, and I spend until 3:00 every day now in the garden, outside, doing things. And I sleep better at night, and I feel better. And just in general, when I come in to get ready for the show and I see everything that happened all day, I am so thankful that I didn't have my phone. Little things add up. Yes, they do. I'm in that 40%. Scary, isn't it? Yeah, me too. I think all of us here are part of that 40%. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being here, as always. Please like and subscribe on YouTube if you haven't already. Share the show with your friends, please. They have slowed me down. We are so close to that 1,000 where they'd have to open me up to so many others, but they're actually now taking subscribers away from me. So please like and subscribe. Let's get conservative voices going. And remember, if there's something you see on social media that you do like, comment on it, like it, share it, because that old thing about, you're only cool if you're more people are following you than you follow people, that's bullshit. Follow everybody that you think has a voice that projects your morals, because that's the only way that we're going to let others know that we're out there, right? We have to let them know we're out there. Otherwise, the only people that are out there are bots and the Democrats who are, living off of us going to work. We can't have that. We have to share everybody's conservative points of view. Let's make that community really, really big. All right. I will see you on Sunday. Thank you for joining me. Good night.